On Friday evening at 9:30, Arena evokes the passionate and potent spirit of the work and tragically short life of the popular Spanish poet and dramatist Federico Garcia Lorca, whose roots lie deep in the culture, music and landscape of southern Spain. The Great American Picture Show tomorrow on 2 is the first screening on British television of Backroads, the comic tale of a down-at-heel hooker and a down-and-out boxer who meet in a downtown bar.
Hey, how are you?
How am I?
Mm-hmm.
Terrific. $20.
That's about what it is all over town. I thought you'd be a lot more than that.
Yeah, I should be.
You dirty tramp!
I'll tell you what we're going to do, sweetheart. I got a portable radio. It's worth $25. It gets FM and everything.
I'm not a swamp shop!
Don't you do nothing for poor folks?
Would you just get out of here?
Oh, now, baby.
Just get out of here! You're gonna cost me the whole goddamn night!
Well, Creep, you just made my night. You just got me busted.
Who's going to bust you?
He's gonna bust me.
You going to bust her?
Yeah, I'm gonna bust her.
Shoot, see?
Hitting a cop in the street means it's time to leave, although for Amy there's also a past to run away from.
I don't know who you are, but I think I might. Look, he is our son. I don't know what you think you have to do with him. And I don't want to know.
Sally Field and Tommy Lee Jones star in Backroads, the Great American Picture Show, tomorrow at 10:40. Well, now on to Derek Malcolm is our host at the Film Club.
Good evening and welcome back to the Film Club. Science fiction movies come in so many different shapes and sizes that it's pretty difficult to define the genre at all. H.G. Wells, for instance, called his writing on the subject Fantasias of Possibility, and that's perhaps the best description I know. Almost all of them, and certainly our two examples tonight, are as much concerned with illustrating a moral point as telling us what's actually going to happen in the future. Though Isaac Asimov, for instance, has some right to say that he's now living in the world he wrote about in the 50s. Neither of the two films we're going to see tonight seems likely to qualify as prophetic, but both George Lucas's 1970 film THX 1138 and L.Q. Jones's A Boy and His Dog, made in 1974, are at least imaginative original movies that deserved more attention than they got when they first came out. THX 1138 was initially made as a short student graduation film by Lucas, who went on to achieve fame and fortune with Star Wars. And in a much expanded form, it became the first production of Francis Coppola's Zoetrope Studios, a San Francisco-based outfit dedicated to getting away from the constricting atmosphere of Hollywood. Warner Brothers backed it with a small budget, but when it was delivered, hated it so much that they cancelled all Zoetrope's other projects, and they turned THX 1138 over to an in-house editor to unscramble. Lucas was so furious that it was 11 years before he would even speak to Warner Brothers boss Ted Ashley again. It's Lucas's personal favorite of all the films he's made, partly because he felt he was really in charge of all its aspects from start to finish, and partly because he still thinks it was an original concept. He was right, it is. Set in the 25th century, the film introduces us to a world controlled by computers in which drugs have removed all feelings from the men and women who work in its vast underground factories. Robert Duvall plays THX, persuaded to cut down on his drug intake by LUH 3417, Maggie McComey, so that they can make love and have a baby. THX's fight to free himself is the basis of the plot. And the moral of the film is the danger of conforming. Work hard, increase production, prevent accidents, and be happy is the reigning philosophy of this strange 1984-like world. What Lucas seemed to prefer was the old hippie philosophy of turn on, tune in, and drop out. He said at the time, modern society is a rotten thing, and by God, if you're smart, you'll get out now and escape. It's a film that's much more solemn and serious than anything like Star Wars, but its sophisticated graphics and its sound effects were certainly revolutionary for the time, and the whole atmosphere of the white limbo prison scenes make it a highly promising debut. And by the way, the cuts made by Warner's have now been restored. That was done after the success of Star Wars, when Lucas was able to call the tune. Even if THX 1138 never actually went into profit, Lucas got his revenge on Hollywood. Ted Ashley's apology for what happened was, remembers Coppola, like it came straight out of the Vatican. Seeing the film again, I'm rather glad about that, even if I'm not quite sure what exactly his phrase means. That film was set in the 25th century. Our next, A Boy and His Dog, brings us nearer to the present, a short while after World War III has laid at least Arizona to waste. 18-year-old Vic, played by a youthful Don Johnson of Miami Vice fame, roams the territory looking for food, shelter, and hopefully sex. The film was taken from a novella by Harlan Ellison, the American who's shaken up science fiction writing with sex, swear words, violence, and leftish politics. And despite much better offers from the big studios, he gave his prize-winning story to L.Q. Jones to make because he was frightened of what Hollywood would do with it. Jones, a character actor whom you may remember as a villain in Sam Peckinpah westerns, promised to be as faithful as he could to the hard tone of the book, and also to make the boy and his dog communicate the way they did in the novel, by telepathy. Hollywood had apparently wanted the dog's lips to move, as they would in a Disney picture. And some of the best moments in the film are the arguments between these two survivors, the rough, uncouth boy becoming a kind of foil for his wiser, more cynical friend from the animal kingdom. The dog may look cute, but Ellison wanted him insolently humble too, and so he is. The post-apocalypse world of the film is battle-scarred and rubbish-strewn, and surely anticipates that of George Miller's Mad Max series, with its bands of brigands roaming the countryside like latter-day Vikings intent on rape and pillage. The film was generally praised on its release and won the Hugo Award at the World Science Fiction Festival in 1984 for the Best Science Fiction Movie of the Year. But it also got some stick from the American women's movement, who disliked its macho aspects and treatment of the girl Vic lusts after. The pure love seems to be between boy and dog, with the woman a poor third. Still, the dog called Blood is wonderful. He won a Patsy, an animal Oscar, for his performance, and the film, sharper, rougher, and tougher than most science fiction tends to be, was re-released in 1982 to some acclaim. A Boy and His Dog by L.Q. Jones.